Hello and welcome back to Scriptcase by Jamie. And yes, I believe this is part 4, is it not? Part 4 of creating a little project, a tiny little project. 2 tables is all we have, 2 tiny little tables storing our client information as well as storing our company information. And of course, we don't just want to be looking at a silly little image on a desktop now, do we? So let's have a look at what we've been creating. So far, we have here the idea, the project, what we are creating now, a customer and company management something, because yeah, we could reuse these portions of these applications and basically reuse them within our projects. Well, I can. The members within Scriptcase by Jamie can, because they will be able to import this project, reuse it, and of course learn from it, apply and abuse it within their own projects. Very easy and simple to do. But for that, well, you of course need to be a member. So make sure you check out scriptcasebykjamie.com and join the membership. There's a members page right at the bottom in the footer. That's where you need to go. Yes, it's not at the top. Maybe I should change that. But I would think if you are really interested, you would be having a look around to see what is available. And well, that's what it's there for. Okay, so we are having then our customer and company management platform. We have also defined our requirements there for our database tables, and of course we have our storage, a sitemap, blah 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 blah. And for that, of course, you need to check out the first video. But then we have our database, which we have also created and exported. Again, make sure you check out the previous videos and you will learn how you can create this, the other alternative options of also creating the database, because there are a few options there and some of them, well, maybe they're just not really the best suited method of data storage, let's say. Okay, so let's continue. We have left that. All of that is the past right now. It will become the future again, because we do have a time machine here on Scriptcase by Jamie. Thankfully we do. So we can rewind a few things. No, we can't rewind everything. I'm sorry, not everything, but a few things we can. And of course, with that, we come back then to our project within Scriptcase. So with our database imported, all prepared, we have our tables defined, so we have also, just in the previous video, defined all the defaults now. So if you missed that, don't wonder why some of the applications all of a sudden have a header or a footer or a different menu than what you have, whatever. We've made some adjustments. Be sure to catch up in the previous videos and check them out. Okay, so we need to now create our applications for our client/customer company storage platform. Whatever it's going to be, we will get there. And for now, we need to first of all create our first application. So I want to first of all actually create a folder structure here, because I could just generate everything in root, and I'll just call it admin for now. And we will start with an admin area. I don't know what it's going to administrate yet. And within this, I will then also add another folder for clients. So I'll create that. And then also back in the admin area. Otherwise, I'll create the folder here in clients. I don't want that. I want to create it here in admin. So click on admin and then click here on the folder again. And with that, I will then create the companies folder. Now, of course, I could arrange that in many other ways, and I may actually come and change that. Like now, for instance, I may want to change here the clients and change that to a capital C, and let's do that. And well, oh, it's actually working. Awesome. Because at some stage that was not working. It wasn't allowing the rename of lowercase to uppercase. So I'm very happy that's working. Thank you very much, Scriptcase. Always fixing those little pesky bugs. The ones that exist. Okay, so we have then our client folder and our companies folder here. So I will just come back here to the admin folder, and I'll come up here to application and then batch applications. And then here within the batch applications, of course, now I see the database tables to which my project is connected. And it's those tables that we had just created. So I want to choose, first of all, the clients, have here a form and a grid, as well as the companies. So I want that for both of those. I do not want one here for the company's clients. I will leave that. I do not need applications for that. Remember, that's a reference table. We can deal with that in other ways. So I will then come here to next. And then here, I'm always saying, fill in the description. It's always good. So I will add here, first of all, admin. And then this is going to be the client management form. Okay, so that's what that is. And I'm just going to copy that. And this here is then the grid. And here is then the company's management form. And again, company's management and grid. Like so. Okay, so there I have now my description in there, so I can always come back here even if I have some crazy names there, because I could change this now from form clients to maybe F_C, and in some crazy cases I actually do that, but that really depends on the type of project, and then usually it's those specific types of applications. So the typical applications, I would leave them like this, but then as you continue on, those names, well, they may turn into some really nasty names. So you really want to add the description there also. But then there is also the added benefit of when adding your description here, it should populate. I say should because yes, it should. And it should then populate the database description tables. So when you generate then the group security, or when we do later, it should add these description fields into those database tables. And then when we are using the back end of the platform, deciding on who can view which form and which grid application, well, you can then see it there quite easily. It's easier for user management. Think of the users. Okay, so now we have then our form and our companies. Now for now, I'll just leave them as single. I want to generate the source code of all of them. And I also want to bring them all to edit. And I will just go finish. And then of course, Scriptcase is now going to generate those applications. And of course, I could start singing or something, but my singing is awful. So thankfully, Scriptcase generates those few applications pretty fast and opens them up for us so that we can, of course, go and start to make edits to these applications. Let's start off, though, by running the grid application. And ta-da, of course, there are no records. We have two clean database tables. So what you may want to do is start with the form application so that we can start by adding some information. Now, of course, it is important to note that we have our reference table. So do we want to start referencing them straight away, or do we want to edit and update that later? We can deal with that in many ways. Of course, we're developing the application now, so we can slowly deal with those little bugs and issues that we are also going to have to deal with, just like Scriptcase has to deal with for developing this platform. Funny enough. Okay, so let's then dive in, and we start off with our form company. So if I run this one, let's have a look at what it looks like. And we have then our form with one of my favorite themes, and it's my favorite because it's just clean. And yeah, I don't really like the full-on blue, and it's just light blue, and it's nice. It's one of the nicer. You remove these a few of the options here, and it's a very nice clean theme. Okay, so we want to make some adjustments there. Let's come here first of all to our settings, and we can change here the vertical alignment to top. I could have the input widths at 100%. I'm not going to bother right now. In fact, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, I also want to highlight fields with error, so let me indicate that as well, and that will then highlight the field for us. if there is an error on that field. And then I can come here to edit fields. And yes, I haven't saved anything because I haven't clicked the save button up here. And now Scriptcase gives us this beautiful little window saying, don't save or save, because previously we could not save. Exactly, we could not save. Maybe in a lot of cases you do not want to save, and you could not do that before. It automatically saved. So when you close the application and you just really screwed things up and your program or application there is just, it's hanging on the edge, you're pulling your hair out, you spent so long on the bloody thing, and then of course Scriptcase forces you to save. Yeah, those times are over. Thank God for that, because those were very frustrating times over there. I tell you guys over Scriptcase, those were very frustrating times. So thank you for this one. I really do love this new feature. Now I can save because I want to save, not because I am forced to save. Okay, so now I have here the edit fields, and I'm just going to drag here the ID companies down to the bottom here, the add date, the update date. Remember, those were those fields where we want to store extra information when the company was added and when the company was updated. So we can choose here straight away the definitions of those. So here for the add date, I could say date of insertion. And if you don't remember, we had set that field as a date and time, and thankfully Scriptcase reminds us of that and tells us the data type is date and time. So here I will then choose date time of insert. And then for the update field we have here over to the right, we have here the DB value update. That was just the insert option. Now for the update over here, I will then say date of update, because remember there we only have a date field. Okay, so there we have our default fields already set. Now we may want to have here our logo, so let's change that so that it is an image file name. We could store it in a database, but we have the wrong file type for that, okay? The varchar 250 is not sufficient, and neither is the medium text that we looked at before. We will come to a different file type for that later. But for now, let's continue. So we have our company VAT, we can leave that as it is. The country, let's choose then the default option in Scriptcase. Let's change that to a select. For the zip, we can leave it as it is. The area, we leave it as it is. Multiple lines, text, great. We can save that. Now, you may not want to add the company logo when it's a new form, so let's remove that. You may also not want to add the VAT number when it's a new company, when you're adding that. So let's just leave it with the company country details, and then afterwards we can add then the VAT and logo. So now if I go ahead and run, I will be missing the company VAT and the image upload. That is then added within the form in edit mode of the company. Okay, so now I can then come back here to the layout, and I really want to create some blocks here. And so I will start by adding one block, and I'll call it 0. And you may be wondering why, and that is because of the logo that we have there. So what I'm going to do is here, I will move first of all the label of all fields to above. I much prefer it above and like that. So if I go run again now, the labels will now be above each of those fields like so. And of course, notice we have here the field values. And if I then come here to my edit fields, we have here also all of the language keys applied. So yes, I had forgot about that, but that is a very important matter. And yes, they are now available in here. So now if I come here to blocks, for instance, I can come here and start to type companies, and it won't do nothing. But within the edit fields, if I add companies, I don't want to remove the language keys now. We will create some forms and we will have to add them anyway. So that will be coming up. But in those fields, we will have a suggestion here. So in this case, we'll have here 2 blocks, which we may have titles. So if I wanted to now display this title and add a language key in there also, I would need to add that here to my application language. But that's something we'll have a look at maybe later. For now, let's just leave it with these two blocks. We have them side by side right now, okay? In fact, below each other, because here we're saying below, and now I would say beside. So then I'll say 50% for this one, and 50% for that one. So now if I go run, I now have a full block, but you can already see here I have a gap here. That's not normal, okay? That is actually from this block. That block, however, has no fields yet. So let's come back here to the edit fields and of course save on the way. And there now I will drag here the logo in there, go run again, and then this time we will see a 50% form. This will be empty because of course that is where then the logo comes to, and the VAT number will come in here below. Okay, so we're just about there. Now if I come here also to the layout, header and footer, we can see then, in fact, if I come here to the settings, first of all, we can see here that we have the header and footer automatically applied here to our form straight away from the get-go. I'm not wasting time having to go and add that into each form, each grid, or whichever. And I do have a fast way of removing it, so maybe we will have a look at that later. But for now, it's added into this grid, and that is also why we have this type of header up here, because we need to come here to the header and footer and define the information that we want here. So let me add here, first of all, the logo. So if I come back in here, come to project, general images, and then here I will choose the light logo, add that. And then I have here the title, and I can then have here the title displayed. So if I go run, now I will more than likely want to have the dark logo instead. And there it is. The logo is just massive. So I will need to, of course, make adjustments to that. And I have a few ways of dealing with that. So we will have a look at that as we continue. So of course, we have a great deal to do still. And with that in mind, we should really take one thing at a time. So let's jump into our HTML templates then straight away and have a look here at our header. And here we have our logo defined. So if I then actually change this, I can actually change this so it has a specific size. And we have up here the height and the maximum width. And of course I can add here onto the span, for instance. I can add here some extra styling. So let's add that. Let's actually give this a class. And I'll call it logo style, and then we can just replicate that up here, and we can then define that. So this span class then has a width of maybe, let's say, 140 pixels, and of course I need to type width correctly, and there we have that. I can then save that, and let's see if then that if I run then now my form application, it should update straight away, and of course it hasn't done. So now with the width, I think I'll add also the important statement there, and let's also add the height is in there as well, and let's say 30 pixels and specify important as well, and that will then limit the size of our logo. And notice of course I added the image statement in here because we want to actually target not just this span class but the image that is actually placed inside of here. So if we save that, then I can then go okay, come back here to my form application, run that, and then we have then our new logo displayed there with that defined width and height. So we may want to actually remove the width from that. Of course, you know, it really depends on the logo. I've not used it before now. So let's remove the width there, save that, keep that height there, and let's check that again now and see what it looks like. And of course, you can make those adjustments. The best thing to do, of course, would be to have those specifications for your images and everything first and have that already. So now I see here, we have here the image, and of course we may want to change the color of this. So if I come back here into the HTML templates again, we have here our main element here. And again, what I will do is I'll give this a class here, and let's call this header BG. And then I can specify that up here, header BG, background color, and we want black. So I'll just go black, like so. If I can spell black correctly today. Oh my God. Okay, so there we go. And of course we need to close that up, save that. And then if I start here, my form header again, within my form, I should have a background white, but it's not giving me that. So let's check here the HTML templates again. And we have for sure here somewhere where it's specifying that. In fact, let's add then also an important statement there. And let's check that out then. And class header underscore BG. Yeah, that's right. Save and run that again. There we go. Okay. So in general, of course, you don't know what it is entirely. You have to, make adjustments, and you will target the correct class at some point, make your own, and you can then, of course, make those adjustments. So now that I have my logo in there, we have up here the title of the form, new record of companies, and that would then basically be the header of every single application I now create. And in the majority of cases, of course, maybe I would want no header. So in that case, I would remove that, run that, and I would just have the form like so. Okay, so we have, of course, another form here to check out, and we still have here within the form companies the fields here to deal with, the country field. So let's deal with that one quickly, and that is then here for the lookup. We need to change that to manual. And here we have some definitions for countries, and there I then automatically have a country list defined. So I'll just save that. And then for the logo, I will need to define here a path or somewhere for this image to be stored when I upload it. I can even add an image height and width. So I'm going to define that as well to 250 as a maximum. I will maintain the aspect ratio. So it's slightly different, of course, then it's going to be how it is. Have a progress bar as well as an upload area for this field. I also want the clickable upload area. And then if I can increment the file, I need to now define the library folder where all of the images will essentially be stored. So let me add then a / in here. And then I would say I want this created inside of the company ID. So let me just confirm then the ID that we had here. So I can save that again, edit fields. And then we can check here the ID companies. That's what we want. So let me come back to the logo again. And then here I can then specify using the curly brackets, the ID companies ID, which is then the ID that we have. Give that a / there as well. In fact, remove this first one. And then like so, we have then the subdirectory that will be created for each company. But really, I want to place this inside its own folder. So company / ID companies, and of course maybe even have the name there. That's generally good, but I think the ID is enough. And yes, I want to create this folder if it doesn't already exist. Now if I decide to delete the logo, well, then I also want it to delete the file. So we can then also define here the file size. If we had a field for this, we could store the file size. So that is something we could maybe add to the database still. For now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. The extensions as well, I could also define the extensions. So I could add here a JPEG, for instance. And I would imagine that is no more than 2 megabytes for that. Let's add that also in uppercase. Again, 2. And maybe PNG. For PNGs, that could maybe be 10 megs. PNG again 10 megs, because of course they're crazy and they have to have really large file sizes. And then of course we could have a GIF here as well, and I guess that would be around 2 meg, or it could be larger. But again, of course, also add that in uppercase, okay? Because sometimes you could store files and it will be stored with a lowercase extension and sometimes with an uppercase extension. And in those cases, you're better off having those options there. So with that defined, we can save that. And our form companies is pretty much ready. In fact, it is ready. I could just run it now. I could then start to enter now a sample company name. Add a sample address, road 1, and then of course an area. Winter Fell, yeah, okay. Yeah. Did anyone like the new series? I didn't like the new season. I didn't like the new one. It was really, really bad. Same as that Lord of the Rings, it was awful. Okay, so for a company zip, I got a zip code in there as well. And then, of course, choose the country where they are. So I'll say Estonia, and then I could add that. Now, if you have any problems within your database, this will more than likely give you an error now. In this case, it actually inserted. So now if I go cancel, I will have my first entry now available. And I can now also see the logo option here. So what I can do then is I can actually grab one of my logos and I can upload that. So let me add then here the mini logo that I have. And that is then added. See, I could have added this one in the first place instead of adding the big one and then making those adjustments. In this case, I could have just used this small one, but for now. So I've added that now to this customer. So now if I go ahead and run that company again, I will always have this image displayed there. I have here the details of the image. I have the company information. I have their VAT. So this form is pretty much ready. From an administrator perspective, of course. Now, we haven't really decided what kind of functionality or features we want to add yet to this platform, but well, of course, this is just a start. So let's continue on within the next form application, which is then the form clients. So let's have a quick look at this one. Let's run it. And there again, we see our dark header now. So let's just straight away remove that. But first, our settings, vertical top and width 100, and yes, that's how we want it. And then to our layout, and of course we can save that on the way, and then within our layout remove the header. Now when I go and run that, of course I will have then here the new form with the default fields. So let's go quickly adjust those here within edit fields. And the ID clients, I'll just drag that one down, update field, add date, drag all of those down. And again, these are the same two fields we had moved down within the form companies and included the date and time edition. So let's do that again. So we have here the add date, and that we want to have here on insert, and that is here a date and time field. So date and time of insert, and then for the update, a date field. So then here we choose date of update and save. And that is then our form pretty much ready. We just need to choose here the select it field also here for our country. So let's save that. And if I come then back over here, choose the country, I can then come back down and then choose the manual and load the country definition and just go ahead and run that. And just like that, our form clients is also ready. Of course, we have here our labels, and we also want to move that to the top still. So let's quickly do that. In blocks, we want to move the label position here to above and run that again. And now you have your form clients ready to go. Just like that, quick and easy. We have pretty much the first part of our project ready. Well, we still have a few things to do, and well, those we will all be doing within the next video. Now, that isn't the last video. I would say it's the final video, but it's not. It's the final video maybe of the beginning of this journey. Okay, so I will catch you in the next video. I hope you're enjoying the content, and until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.